I guess you always really wanted to be a pro fighter, right? But did that just reaffirm it in your mind through the success in the amateur career? Were there any doubts through that through those moments?
Yeah, there were definitely doubts because in the amateurs, as I said, I was fucking around a lot in the amateurs. I never, and this is the truth, I never ran once in the amateurs. Never went running, never touched the jump rope, and I didn't know how to hit a speed bag. So I would go to the gym and do my best version of a workout. Um, I would go to the gym, I'd spar a lot, I'd hit the pad, some with my trainer, shadow box, and just do an ab workout. That was basically my workout. That was my whole boxing regimen. No diversity to my game. It was the same thing every day. And like I said, when I would go home from the gym that Tuesday night or Friday night, it didn't make a difference if it was a weekday or a weekend. It was straight to having fun. It was straight to going out drinking, hanging out with my friends, doing what I had to do. And I look back at it now and I'm like, it's insane. 19, 20 years old, I would go out till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, drinking the entire night. And then I'd be at the gym at 10 o'clock in the morning sparring. And the thought of that now, it just blows my mind. The thought of even having a 6-pack and then going to the gym the next day sparring, which I do once in a blue moon. But back then, I mean, I was really partying. So when I was an amateur, I didn't have the success that I should have had because I wasn't as disciplined as I should have been disciplined. Also, and I look back at my amateur career and I think of these things, I think that karma played a role in it because if you're not putting the right energy out into the universe and you're not doing the right things, I don't think you're going to be rewarded the right way. And there were some real close decisions against some real good fighters. A couple of them went nationally ranked that I didn't get, that I should have got. And then I look at it, I'm like, well, you know what? I was probably 50% of myself because I'm smoking cigarettes, I'm drinking, I'm messing around with drugs, and I'm not training right. I didn't deserve those wins, quite honestly. So in a close fight, give it to the guy that actually, cares. Give it to the guy that's actually putting in the hard work and effort. So the amateurs for me, I always knew I had talent. It was just a matter of, can I ever get myself straight outside of the gym? Could I ever get disciplined enough to go a couple of weeks without drinking and actually lock down and do the right things? And I didn't know if that was ever going to happen. So I finally stopped boxing at 23 years old. And at that point in my life, all my friends were starting to travel and really live life and have good experiences, not just going to bars and hanging out, but going to clubs and meeting girls and traveling and doing cool stuff. And I couldn't miss out on that either. So I said, you know what, I'm going to take a couple of years off of boxing. It was supposed to be about a year, maybe a year and a half. And I'm going to travel with my friends. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to meet chicks. I'm going to get it all out of my system. And then I'm going to start with a clean slate. And that's kind of like saying I'm going to take a year off of college and I'm going to go back. Most people don't. And a year turned into 2 years, turned into 2.5 years. And then finally it turned to 3 years and I put the brakes on. And then I finally went back to the gym at 26. And I remember my first sparring session like it was yesterday. It was like starting from scratch again. My cardio was absolutely gone. My rhythm, my anticipation, my timing. I was still slick. I was still a decent fighter, but all those fundamentals, everything went out the window. My cardio was totally shot. So it was starting from scratch. But I changed my life at that point. I really, really started disciplining myself. I learned how to jump rope and started hitting a speed bag and running 4 or 5 miles every night and doing wind sprints and training like an actual fighter and athlete. So to answer your question, it's a long answer, but to answer your question as far as the amateurs go, there was constant self-doubt, to where it got to the point where when I took those 3 years off, nobody thought I was going to come back to boxing. I kept saying, yeah, I'm going to come back and I'm going to turn pro. I'm done with the amateurs. I'm going to come back and I'm going to turn pro. I'm going to start training and I'm going to turn pro immediately. And all my friends were like, yeah, like it's a pipe dream. It's never going to happen. So I started bargaining and negotiating with myself where I was just having too much fun in life. And I had been doing that for so long. At 26 years old, it's kind of embedded in your being at that point. It's in your fabric. And at that point, I started negotiating. I said, all right, well, you know what? If I have 1 or 2 pro fights, that'd be good, right? You know what? I got to at least have a couple of pro fights. And then I finally put the brakes on, made my pro debut, and then I was fortunate enough to fight 10 times in my first 13 months as a pro, which is kind of unheard of. I was getting fights left and right. So that forced me to be constantly in shape and disciplined and ready to go.
Yeah.